Hello everyone, I'm Jake. I'm the one that edited and directed this interesting film. So in this video, this is basically the behind the scenes video. I'm going to be talking about basically the kind of work that went into the editing of this film, but also some of the footage we shot when we were filming it. Mainly the first scene. We didn't really shoot any behind the scenes stuff for the on location stuff, but the first scene at my house, we shot quite a bit. It's quite amusing. It kind of shows you how in-depth our planning is. So right, yeah, first of all I'm going to start off by showing you a few of the effects we did in this film. Most of the effects are reasonably simple. So muzzle flash effects are quite basic. I've been doing them for quite a while. However, there's a lot of other things which require a lot more in-depth kind of work, and that's hopefully what I'm going to show you today. I'll show you basically what goes into the muzzle flash stuff, and like show you a few clips without effects, because that's always quite interesting to look at because it looks so silly. Okay, so the effect I really want to show you is the explosion at the end of the film. Explosions like these are quite fun to do, but they also take a lot of time. And the main issue with this is we didn't have a green screen. So the problem is that the people here have to be in front of the explosion behind them. Now to do that you have to separate the people from the background. Now normally that's what a green screen does, but because this is a zero budget film we don't have that. So what we did, well basically if you didn't have that, if you didn't separate them from the background you'd have this. So you'd have all the fire and explosions in front of the characters, which is rubbish. That's not what we want. So what I had to do was every few frames I have to essentially draw a line around the characters. If I go back when there's only one mask to make it a bit simpler. So look at the yellow mask. It's called a mask, by the way. These lines are called masks. And I have to go and draw them round the characters. It's essentially like photoshopping every few frames. Now, although this technique uses a lot of time. I think this explosion must have taken me about 6 hours. However, even then, it's really not perfect. As you can see, the line... Actually, that's not bad. If I go to... Right, yeah, when the real bright explosion comes on, it becomes apparent, if I put the resolution up to full, that it just doesn't look right. You can see the lines around them. It just doesn't really look particularly good. You can't really odds that because, I mean, you could spend more time and you can make it a lot better, but the best thing you can do is play with the feathering. Now the feathering is kind of the amount... If you had no feather in it, it'd be a solid line. I've got a 20 pixel feather, which means it kind of blurs around the line. So if I was to increase it, the blur around it increases. If I had 0, I mean that just looks terrible, doesn't it? That looks awful. That's exactly where the line is. So we found a mask of around 20 as the best balance between blending and just general practicality of drawing the line. So right, that's that. Now, an explosion is quite a fun bit to do because you can't just make it a one element. If you have one explosion element, it will look terrible. So, as we can see, if I put that back down to half and play some of it back to you, we have like an initial explosion here with some debris. Then we have some smoke coming out of here, followed by a much bigger explosion. Once that's gone, we then have lots of smoke and fire elements here, as well as debris. Now, if I take away some of the smoke and fire, and the debris, and just leave the explosion, and obviously things such as dust and that kind of thing, we're left with quite a basic effect. So you have the explosion, there's no debris, and it doesn't look very good. Also, to make it look slightly better, when we have the massive bright explosion, we light up the characters more by making a duplicate of it that brightens up. So if I take that away, it looks more like that. Whereas when it's lit up like that, it looks a lot more realistic. Now, if I go to a point here, just as the explosion clears, I've also made a little hole here. If I take away this layer, you can see I've made a little hole in the building with smoke and stuff coming out of it. Just unfortunately, because of a lot of reasons, I can't just destroy the building because I need an image of the area without the building. It just wouldn't be practical to do. So we made a hole in the building, we set it on fire, that'll do. So as we add more elements into it, by re-enabling them, all this fire and smoke, you can see how the explosion builds up to be something a lot more realistic and that just looks a lot more visually impressive. So yeah, that's basically the kind of effects that go into this. The only other one, which I'm not really going to go into, is this initial, see here how the explosion goes off and then you have all this debris here, which is actually made out of the texture from the original building, and it leaves a hole. I'm not really going to how we do that because that would take me ages, but yeah, that's the basics of it. It just gives you an idea about the work that goes into it, how we build up the explosion, how we have to master people out the background. So that's the boring stuff out of the way. Now we're going to go on and show you some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Action!
Contact right! Contact right! Baseline!
Cut. Action!
Contact right! Contact right! Baseline!
Cut.
Contact right! Contact right! Baseline!
Well, now, due to different constraints, we didn't film it all in one go. The order of filming consisted of all the film you saw, the majority of it, which took place in like the fields and the barn and that. That all took place during the summer, quite late during the summer, and was done over 2 days. We picked the worst days for filming possible. It was 30 degrees, and then we had all the gear on. It was really, really tiring, and you can tell a lot by some of the voices that, you know, we really just out of energy, didn't really want to bother, and it definitely did affect the quality of the film. We was also under a lot of time constraint because we originally was going to do it in 1 day, which just didn't work out, and then we even struggled to do it over 2 days, and it kind of ruined a lot of the enthusiasm which you saw quite early on in the film, early and towards the end, because obviously that's where we started again. So yeah, if we did it again, I'd definitely make a shorter film. Definitely wouldn't do it when it's 30 degrees, and I'd also probably reduce the amount of automatic fire, because doing the muzzle flashing effects for automatic fire is quite difficult, because in a lot of the scenes you can notice how like the person moves, so you have to move the muzzle flashes with them. You then have to, every time they fire, their bodies get lit up, which takes quite a lot of work, especially when it comes to automatic fire. It's fine for pistols because you only have to do it once or twice, but when it's fully automatic it's a bit more difficult. There's also the whole sound design, because sound effects, you don't have like a fully automatic sound effect. You have single shots, so you have bang. That's not really much use when you're doing fully automatic. So then you have to work it out because you gotta add them together, but you can't add them straight after each other because it wouldn't sound right. You've got to get the right rate of fire. And yeah, it just gets really, really complicated. There's also the whole cartridge cases which you see in some of the close-ups. But yeah, so if I did it again, I'd reduce the amount of automatic fire and make the film a bit shorter. This was 25 minutes and I think we collected over 3 or 4 hours of footage in total. It was ridiculous. So yeah, that's that. I'm saying this to you because we don't have any behind the scenes footage on location because we just simply didn't have time. This was of course a zero budget film, so well, zero budget. We bought some sandbags and I think I bought some broken BB guns for about £4 a go, but that was about it really. So considering that, I think it went quite well. The first scene, which we filmed last, which was a few weeks ago, it was a bit awkward because we filmed the majority of it in the height of summer, and it was getting quite dark and miserable. But yeah, that took place in my house. It was a lot more light-hearted. We had loads of time. We messed around quite a bit. We've got behind the scenes footage. I ran about a bit on the roof. Yeah. So overall, it was really enjoyable. We had a good laugh making it, which is an important thing because that's pretty much what it's about. But I also enjoy doing all the editing and that kind of work, despite the fact it takes loads of time. It's really enjoyable and really rewarding in the end. So yeah, we're now going to go on and show you the behind the scenes footage of the first scene, which is quite funny.
Probably weren't even funny though, were they? It wasn't meant to be funny, it was just really behind the scenes. Oh, Felix, give me that hat. Let me borrow it. You might as well have the glasses as well.
One second, let's get down for a second.
You've got to have the glow though. Yeah, well, sorry, but I can't see. I'm looking the part now, boys. Just when someone comes along. Someone is coming. If someone walks along, I'm just like, what's up? If someone walks along while we're filming.
If someone walks along, we're just going in.
I was going to stop that past.
Right. What we need... right, Joe, come here.
That's the plan.
What am I doing?
You're answering the door.
What?
You're answering the door.
Now?
Yeah.
What am I saying?
You probably want to stand here, Joe. Just because I know that mic's like it's pretty... You're recording. Door.
Right. Hello, my friend. Come in, come in.
Yeah, basically.
How's this?
Excuse me.
Did you take the... Oh, yeah. I was going to say, did you take the props off the bush?
Oh, bits of, I'm recommending.
So we're just on like this top 2 step.
He just got through the scene.
Yeah, we've got behind it.
Well, you see, you have him like coming out of the car, then you have him walking out, and as he's walking out, then you like a close
So who
shot
do
of him,
I
like,
think-
he's getting out and cocking.
Who do I think this guy is?
No.
So this time I'm sort of opening the door, just like
No, you
seeing who it
You
is.
have to like open up. Yeah, you have to open up properly for it to work.
Felix getting prepared for his scene. Joe with the gas mask. Tom using the laser.
Blown up like a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
Unless maybe I don't die and then we can have a seat.
Oh yeah.
Get it.
What, he's still up here?
No, we're just about to do it.
person view, first person view.
Push me up!
Stab.
Sit on it. Just casual. Oh my god, there's a car coming!
Yeah, it's ages away. Oh, that's going in the outtakes.
Yeah, that is.
We just need to get as many scenes of us planking.
Have you gone?
That'll do.
Just put that anyway.
It's the broken gutter.